first artist you signed
is Twista.
Twista, and then the Alcoholics came afterwards?
No, a group by the name of Madcap came afterwards.
Oh, right. Okay, so Twista originally was Tongue Twister.
Correct.
And now, did he have the Guinness Book of World Records for the fastest rap, whatever?
Rapper ever, yeah.
Yeah.
And we did it on Yo MTV.
Okay, so before we get into that, Chicago, there was no rappers from Chicago back then. Why did you decide to go to this new city? Because back then it was really East Coast, West Coast. The South, I think, had like Ghetto Boys and it was kind of starting off, but really it was mostly East Coast.
It's not that I went to Chicago. I mean, Eric DeWiz, who was like Twista's manager, he was a DJ at GCI in Chicago. He had a conversation with Fade. Fade plays me the record. I'm like, wow, this could be our first artist. Let's fly him out.
Okay.
So I flew him out, signed him, and then that was it. I mean, I just thought it was like, this is a cool-ass record. He's a cool-ass artist. He's young. I wasn't thinking East Coast, West Coast. I was just thinking,
this is a dope artist.
This kid could spit.
Yeah. So did he have just one song at this point?
He had 2 songs.
He had 2 songs. You sign him. Now, the record comes out.
And it starts doing pretty well.
It does. Okay. Pretty well meaning what? Gold?
No, not gold. Some radios, the single comes out, not the album.
Yeah.
The single comes out, the single starts to sell, getting some really cool radio stations, on it. And then my deal with BMG is if I sell up to 50,000, once I go to 50,000, they got to kick in.
Okay.
So we get to 50,000 in a matter of an hour,
Okay.
That quick, just because of my network. So me and Rich go up to meet with the chairman of the company and says, all right, here's a budget, this is what we need. He goes, they're shutting me down. I blew $20 million in less than a year. So we're like, what the fuck, right? So, and we have to catch a flight to Atlanta for Jack the Rapper.
Okay.
And we go to dinner. We spend like our last $5 to our name, just on the company.
Yeah.
And I meet a guy by the name of Ron Urban, who at the time was the COO of RCA Records.
Uh-huh.
And me and Ron, there's a lawyer by the name of Joel Katz, where Ron was at, my father was there, so I was just going to say hello to people, and Ron was there, and then me and Ron closed the deal like at 4 o'clock in the morning. So we were out of business for a day.
So Loud Records moves to RCA.
RCA.
With Twista.
With Twista.
And Madcap?
And Madcap.
Has Madcap come out yet or no?
No.
Okay. So the Twista album comes out under RCA?
Yeah.
And how does it do?
We do around 100,000.
Not bad?
Not bad.
Okay. Madcap comes out?
Does around 100,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember, I think I bought the Madcap album. Mm-hmm. I think it was cool, but it wasn't groundbreaking.
Exactly.
Okay. So you now have 2 albums selling about 100,000, which is nominal success. Back then,
they made money because our budgets were so small.
Were nothing. Yeah, exactly. So then what happens next?
Fade brings me Tha Alkaholiks.
Right. I absolutely loved their first 2 albums.
Me too.
Loved it. Like it was like, okay, so did King T was pushing him beforehand, right?
They were part of King T's. Yeah.
Yeah, part of the Liquid Crew.
Yep.
Okay. So did King T bring you Tha Alkaholiks?
No.
No.
They produced one of the records on Madcap's album. So Fade heard him. So Fade brought him. I don't drink, never drank. And the group was called Tha Alkaholiks, and there was a liquor store right across the street from the office, and I bought like 5 cases of beer. They came up, and we signed them on the spot.
Okay, and you heard, did they have an album at this point or no?
They had 4 songs.
Okay.
But they had Make Room, which...
Love that song.
Fucking, to this day, it was just...
It's a West Coast classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the only song that I truly remember. Make Room, and we signed them, and between all this, I'm in New York for my 31st birthday. E Swift's in New York, and I've been trying to get in touch with this guy by the name of Prince Rakeem.
RZA.
Yeah.
Okay, so but before we get to that, you signed the Alkaholiks, the album comes out. I definitely bought this album. This album was in heavy rotation. I remember. I was going to UC Berkeley at the time.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. And
Okay.
this was like a big record. Like all the house parties you go to, this was a big record out there. So the album comes out. How does it do?
You do around 250, 300,000.
Okay, so this is like you're raising the bar at this point. Now, is Twista still on your label?
No.
Why?
He wanted it off. He started working with Do or Die.
Huh. Okay, out of Chicago.
Yeah.
But why did he want off?
Just, it didn't, he felt it didn't work, even though we made some money. I mean, there were some mistakes made, so it's like, it was our first record out of it, so.
Okay, but did he have a multi-album deal?
Yeah, but we let him out.
Okay, you weren't trying to keep someone on there who didn't want to be on there. Okay, so you just, right, because I remember reading like how Twista for a while really wasn't doing too well. He was still riding the bus and stuff like that. It was like, he was still a struggling artist during the very beginning stages. So you guys let him off. The Alkaholiks comes out and goes halfway to gold, or
A little bit more.
3/5 of the way to gold. And the single does well also.
Single does amazing.
Yeah. So, and you guys have them for a multi-album deal. You guys went on to release how many albums with
I think
them?
like 4 or 5.
So, you guys now have a hit record, a hit album with the Alkaholiks, and you're trying to get a hold of the RZA. Why?
So
Because the RZA had already come out with something, like "We Love You, Raheem" or something.
that
like
was
that.
on Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
Jizza was on Cold Chillin'.
Right, as the genius.
As the genius. So they put Wu-Tang together. So Jason Staten was our street team guy in Michigan. He sent it to Trevor. Trevor says, you got to find this group. Or you got to find this guy, Prince Rakeem. So here's the number, call him. And he doesn't have an answering machine.
Well, but what from Wu-Tang did you hear at this point?
Protect your neck.
Okay, so that was already out.
Yeah,
They put that out independently.
exactly.
Okay, and you heard it, and did you know right away?
I didn't know, but everybody else knew. So, cut to, I'm trying to track him down. And I'm in New York for my 31st birthday, and I'm in the RCA building, and I'm with D Swift, and somebody says, Prince Rakeem is here.
So how does the Wu-Tang thing come together? Because you were actually there.
I was there, yeah. I'm having a meeting with Steve in New York in the office, and RZA comes in. This is all unscheduled. It's just me and Steve. We're going over some stuff. RZA comes in and he plays "Protect Your Neck." You're already seeing them moving in the streets in New York, right? So they come there, and then one by one, the dudes just start coming in the room, just rapping the song, and me and Steve is looking at each other like, "What the fuck?" And they just leave. I'm like, "What the fuck just happened?" And Steve is like, "I don't know. Like, what the fuck? What should I do?" I was like, "Man, don't let them get out this building without signing them. I'll tell you that." Like,
So you saw it right away.
oh, that fast.
Somebody comes running into the office. To this day, it says, "That's that shit." I've never seen the guy ever again. So I don't know if I don't know if they set me up, or if somebody really like. And I never saw the guy ever again.
Okay.
So I call RCA. I call Rich. Rich was. I'm like, we have to sign this group immediately. Rich flies in, and we get the deal done in less than 4 days.
Okay, so when the deal gets done, it's for Wu-Tang as a collective.
Correct.
Does everyone actually sign, or is it just RZA
RZA signs as Wu-Tang Productions, and the rest of the guys had to sign
individually?
Individually. It was a Jewish holiday. So I go to Long Island, and Rich had to go, I think, to his sister's house, who I think she lived in the city. So he was still in the city. So he's leaving the office, and I think Jizza had to sign on top of a taxi cab. Like, I mean, it was funny.
I mean, when you first met Wu-Tang Clan, I mean, they never really cleaned up, but back then, I'm sure they were really, really grimy. Like,
I mean, they were just hungry, man. I mean, they were.
And was it all the members of the group that they, or because I remember hearing Wu-Tang is really like 100 deep, and and so forth. Like people who claim Wu-Tang, is
People
a
could
lot of
claim
people.
Wu-Tang because there were 9 guys in the group.
Yeah.
But there were 9 guys in the group.
9 guys in the group,
Capo
okay.
was away at the time, so it was everybody.
He was in
but
jail at
Capo.
the time, yeah. Okay. So all 9 members of Wu-Tang signed to Loud Records. How many songs did they have done at this point?
I only heard Protect Your Neck and Tears.
Okay. And that's it.
That's it. So then around like 3 weeks later, I hear the METHOD record.
Okay. Now, what's special about this deal was that every person in the group was able to go and get individual solo deals.
Yes.
Was that something that was negotiated right there in the beginning?
Yep.
Okay.
So, and that came from New Edition.
Uh-huh.
So I always thought that the group will always be bigger than the solo artist. And I had to jumpstart Loud. So I sold 100,000 with Twista, 100,000 with Madcap, 200 to 300 with the Licks. I didn't have that home run. I'm getting on base, but
Yeah. No home runs yet.
no, not even. I'm not even crossing home plate. Not even a home run. You know, I just wanted to put points on the board.
Yeah.
So I was like, let him have it as long as we have first right of refusal.
Okay, so basically, when you say that, that means that if Method Man gets an offer for $1 million, you guys could match that.
We could
and
match
then, and you guys could get them. But if
Exactly.
you couldn't match it, then they would go
It
somewhere
goes.
else. Okay. So you signed a deal. Do you remember how big the deal was back then?
For the first
For
album?
Wu-Tang?
I think it was like $50,000.
Nothing. For how many albums?
They delivered, what, 5 albums?
Was it a 5-album deal just
It
from
was
jump?
a 4 or 5 album. I mean,
Wow. And both RZA and GZA had bad experiences at other labels.
exactly.
Right, because RZA had the "We Love You, Rakim," or it wasn't really what you know as Wu-Tang is today. So they signed this deal, and no one else was interested at the time.
Everybody wanted the group as a whole. They weren't letting him do the solo deals.
Oh, that was what differentiated Loud from everyone else. You guys would let him do the solo deals, so they signed with Loud. Okay, so you give him $50,000. Was that the budget to record the first album? So nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
And it sounds like it was a $50,000 album, like it was real dirty
I mean,
sounding.
it was raw. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just straight raw.